So when you're renting a vehicle, that mainly is going to come hopefully for just a couple of reasons. Maybe your car got into a wreck and you need something to drive for a few days or a couple weeks or something. Maybe you're going on a longer trip. You don't want to put a bunch of mileage on your own car. I've been down that road before. Or maybe, just maybe, you've got a nice enough, if you're in business, that they'll rent a vehicle to let you be able to go if they don't have company cars. So, again, when would you rent a vehicle? When there is a short time needed. Maybe a few days or weeks. So, again, kind of coming back to this for a second. We've seen within the last week, you know, all the expenses that go into maintaining your car and gas and all the licensing and stuff. So sometimes renting a vehicle actually can be cheaper for a short period than driving your own vehicle. So just something to consider. So to rent a vehicle, there are minimum age requirements. So just because you have a driver's license does not mean you are eligible to rent a car. Different companies have different limits on that. Most of the time it's somewhere between 18 and 21. I've seen places go as high as 25. A valid driver's license, so don't get that thing suspended if you want to be able to rent a car. And some sort of way for making the payment ahead. Now, let me take this on a little further. Most companies that rent cars are going to want a credit card. You can probably understand why. If something happens to the car, they want to be able to immediately get in and get money, which I can understand. Many of them are starting to do that. They will do debit cards as well if you're not into the credit thing, which there's more people kind of leaning that way as we go. But you pay ahead, and then you also have what they call a deposit on hand in case you come back, the gas tank's not full, there's scratches on the car, things like that. So when you look to rent a vehicle, they typically will have a daily rate. Sometimes they'll have weekly if you're going to go longer than that. Bless you. Mileage fee question mark, because most places it's unlimited miles over the time. You might have some, if it's a really discount place and you're getting a really cheap daily rate, they may charge a mileage fee. But I've never had a place charge me a mileage fee before. Insurance. Let me talk about that. I'll just write the last one and then I'll talk about that. Insurance and gas. Insurance. Okay. You can either use your own personal insurance that you use on your own vehicle, or there are ways that you can purchase insurance through the company. But as you can imagine, that is going to be extremely pricey. It's going to be on a daily basis, and it's going to cost an arm and a leg. So it's much better to just put it on your own. There are one of the positives of when you're making your payment, certain credit cards also will insure you against certain things, even on top of your own insurance company. And then gas. I mean, when gas was $4 a gallon, you might want to think about not going down that road, just because that's going to get real pricey too. So those are things you have to pay for, though. They do not pay for your gas when you're renting a car. So when you are trying to figure out the total cost of renting a vehicle, so of course you will have the daily rate times the number of days. Now, the next part, we're not going to use it every time. We will sometimes, though. So, sometimes we'll have the mileage fee times the number of miles. But again, that one is kind of a, I don't want to call it outdated, but it can be. Plus any insurance. You're going to have it from somewhere. And your gas. Most of those are going to be straightforward. The only ones where there's going to be a little bit of mystery is going to be how many days, how many miles, if we're going to go that way. So you're like, basically, we just took all those things and turned it into a math equation. Yes. And this part, if we've been thinking in here at all, is going to be pretty simple. Determining the rental cost per mile. This is more for business expenses type of things. Like if you're driving a car for a business and I'm the owner and I have you go rent a car and you drive and the gas and all that stuff, I want to know how much it's costing per mile because I can write that off as a business expense. Now, just a normal one of us can't write it off, but the business could. So if you needed this, it would be the no-brainer equation of the day, total cost divided by number of miles driven. Real quick formula to do that. So as we tend to try to do here, we don't like to go into overkill. Never have. Not going to start now. So when you go to rent a vehicle, it's sort of like when we were talking about leasing or anything else. There's more than just, oh, they're charging me this much a day, I'm done. So first part, rented a car 5 days at $19.95 a day. Okay, so we get that piece in here. Let's see, a nickel each should be 75 cents short of 100, but I'm not trusting myself at the end of the day. Yep. So we get that set. Then I go around. She purchased the optional insurance for $15 per day. So let me chat about that for a minute. So 5 days at 15 a day. So you may think, well, that's not very much. But when you think about, you know, maybe you have insurance and it's, I don't know, I'll just make a round number, $600 every 6 months. $100 a month, 100 divided by 30 is like $3 a day you normally pay for insurance. She's paying $15, so she's paying like 5 times the normal rate. This would be the equivalent of it being $3,000 every 6 months for insurance, which is why you probably want to have your own instead, because the convenience is pricey. Mileage cost. 10 cents per mile, drove 312 miles. And then your gas, they were nice. This is nice. Just told us what the gas price is. We don't have to calculate anything. And so to get my total, I just add those up. That's one thing I have to admit about this particular unit we've messed around with. 248.70. Man, if you could rent a car for 5 days for $248.70 all inclusive, that'd be great. And work that out. Total cost, out the door, sign off, here we go. But if I'm looking at it more from a business point of view, which is kind of what we're in here for, I still would do those same things, but I, again, would need to know it down to the mile. Because you're allowed, now I don't know, it's been a couple of years since I did this way. It used to be, that was in 2020 though, you'd get like 55 cents per mile that you could write off for whatever your business. I bet you it's gone up. I'm going to have to look that up in a minute here. But again, days times rate. Insurance, again, same number of days. Oofda, insurance. Mileage, okay, 20 cents a mile. Oh, hello. All right. Again, Hardy doesn't trust himself. Yep, I was right. And some gas. If they drove 526 miles on $74 worth of gas, you got some good mileage on your gas here. Grand total would be 586.33. But if we're interested in the business aspect, we're going to want to take that number and divide it by our number of miles. So if I was accurate in what I said before, where the write-off is probably somewhere in that, probably now about a 60 to 70 cent range, we're still not getting completely covered here. We probably would have been close to completely covered if we would have just kept our own insurance and not bought theirs instead. So, but that's really all there is as far as trying to figure some of that out. So, here's what we're going to do to kind of wrap this packet up here. So, on the back, we got a little work with the cost of renting versus the cost per mile, business versus personal, basically is what we're looking at here. But just kind of playing with a few of those. And then what I talked about at the start of class, this buy, lease, or rent a car project is really buy or lease. The rental, we're not going to rent a car full time here. If you never have before, it can be an eye-opening experience. Yes, we're back to the Chromebooks. Yes, this was working earlier today. I even had a student check it. So if it's not now, I don't know what the heck's going on. You can build a vehicle of your choice. I don't care if it's economical, crazy expensive, electric, gas, don't care. It needs to be the latest year model though. So a 2023/24. 24s are actually out now, so you probably should be pricing those. And then again, SUV, sedan, they'll have all these choices there for you if you don't know what that is. Vehicle make will be like the company, Chevy, Ford, Chrysler, Toyota, Nissan, whatever. The name of the car and then the year. And then you can go as crazy as you want. You can have every bell and whistle you want. You can have it be a stick shift. I don't care. And when you get to the end, you'll hit it and it'll price it out for you new. Usually we'll say, if we have to find this, we'll find that. And then add that up to see what it would be. And again, they're going to have calculators on these pages as well. Yeah, when you scroll down, you will be able to enter loan terms. So you're going to say, I don't have a trade-in. Here's my interest. Got $5 grand. Nice. And these things to type in. But if you get stuck, I'm absolutely willing to help. Just bring the Chromebook up, and I'll help out. And we're going to do that for a new one and a used one. And then you can kind of compare to see, is getting the new car with all the expenses that go along with it going to be worth it or not, in your opinion? There's not a wrong answer. Everybody's different. There's car people, there's not car people. I happen to not be a car person. I'm like, it runs, I'm good. Okay. And so try those two things out. And there's a third one down there for a lease. Even if you just do the new and used, I'm happy with it. But if you want to check out leasing, or what I call it, leasing a car, you can check that out as well. But you will get some time tomorrow as well to play with this, because the review won't take us the whole period to do. I purposefully did that so you got some more time to get on the Chromebooks and play with the project. Okay? Questions? All right.